Welcome everybody. Before we jump in, say hi in the comments and let us know where you are from and tell us what you hope to learn here today by visiting the link that you will find in the chat windows as well. Let me quickly show you. There we go. Put that one down, and so you can scan the QR code if you want to go to the question, or you can just enter the ahaslides.com coach chat, and then we will see what you hope to learn from us today here. So, but meanwhile, we've got with us, as you can see, Toby Walter. So, Toby, welcome to our coach chat already. Toby has been a goalie for the German national team for sorry Toby, you have been a goalie, you are still a goalie for the top level teams. You started playing in Germany, obviously, where you played for teams like Mannheimer and for Harvestehuder at the highest level before coming to Belgium. In Belgium you played a couple of years for Dragon in Braschaat before moving this season to Bragschata, also playing in the Belgian Honor Division, and that's also where you will play your indoor hockey at the moment. But you have also a past as a German international goalkeeper for the outdoor team, and many years as the keeper for the indoor team from Germany as well. And as we all know, Hallen hockey is very popular in Germany. They are very good at it. And the goalie is a guy who makes all the difference in an indoor team. So we thought, might be a good time for us to have a goalie on the show and tell us a little bit about the indoor goalie skills. So we are getting some questions, some answers here from the people, what they hope to learn today. So Toby, I hope that you will be able to answer at least a couple of these things here. But looks good. Let us get ready then to really jump in. And Toby, the floor is yours. Tell us what you can, you know, and share the knowledge about indoor goalie skills.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. It's really nice to be here and have the chance to talk about indoor goalkeeping. As you said, indoor is a passion of a lot of German people, and we put a lot of effort into it. And whenever you have a question, please shoot. I'm gonna talk about some indoor goalkeeping, some techniques and some skills. In general, it's really basic because there will be huge differences in age concerning keepers training. It's way different for seniors than for young kids, and also there in the kids age there are differences by skills and techniques. Just let me just jump right into it. First of all, there are two types of goalkeepers for indoor. There's an offensive one and an engaging one, who are more involved into a game. As I saw already in the little answers for the first questions, what they expect. An offensive and engaging goalkeeper is more often involved in a man marking, not really a baseline keeper. He can act as a defender, which makes it way more exhausting for a keeper. But this might come up probably in a later stage, let's say from under 16 on, where games are more tactically, where a team is really into a tactic, where a goalkeeper has to be involved. And there's obviously the defensive goalkeeper, who is more a shot stopper on the line, which makes it a total different game. Not for your own team, but also for the other team you're playing against. Positioning too, there's just in general for saving balls, because I saw this question already popping up. I really excuse, there's a typo in the I couldn't fix it before. Baseline and halfway entries. For, let's say, for offensive goalkeepers, this might come not too often because they're trying to avoid with the tactic of their team a lot of these situations. But if it comes to it, or also for the shot-stopping goalkeepers, a baseline entry, a keeper most of the time will stand on the post, awaiting the ball, playing with their defenders to channel players properly into the corner, where they then can engage the ball and try to defend it from there. How to train positioning? As I said, it's different age group wise, but there's a general rule which also counts for outdoor. The focus of a goalkeeper should always be the penalty spot, that they always know there is where the middle is of the field of the goal, and obviously including both posts. So for younger kids, it's nice to draw or use tape or whatever in indoor to put a little half circle around the goal where they can move along. Especially for young kids, it's good to know they always have to stand on a certain line, and the angle will always be in their favor. To train those kind of positionings, always include field players. By including field players, it's way more game related and way more interesting for keepers to be involved than in a normal goalkeeper training. It's really simple. Everybody does that in training. You start warming up the keeper with a simple goal shooting drill, and from there on you can vary the angles, and the keeper then on the line has to move his position to always be in the right spot to create bad angles for the attacker and enlarging their chances to stop the balls when they're in the right position. To train those baseline entries or halfway line entries, it's nice to go on 2 against 1s or 3 against 2 situations. With that, you simulate situations you always will find in a game, because most of the time there will be a 2 against 1, 3 against 2. So with your defenders, forcing the attacking player onto the baseline, where then the goalkeeper can engage a bit earlier. If there are questions, please, you're always welcome to jump in. Techniques for indoor. There's obviously a huge difference to outdoor, because we play on a way smaller field. Obviously, we also use single slides, which is really famous in Belgium, as I experienced in the last 3 years, and also the direct block slide. Therefore, for the single slide, super important when players entering the circle and they're coming towards the goalkeeper. It's nice to engage early, and to avoid them for dribbling, we can always use a single slide to directly attack the ball. For a block slide, it's more used when you see direct balls into the circle for a tip-in. If a goalkeeper is well positioned, most of the time it's going to be the offensive goalkeeper who will be caught in those situations. It's always nice to use a block side, because you have a high chance to directly avoid a tip-in front of the goal, because we will face those situations quite often when balls are played through the middle. The setup is not correct of the field players, and there's a guy standing right in front of you ready for the tip-in. It's nice to go down both laggards on the ground and to directly block the ball. You will also see difference in positioning of the hands. As you can see maybe on the right picture there, in general, the hands can be way lower than you play normally in outdoor. Outdoor goalkeepers are always told to keep their hands up high, because the goal is also way bigger and you have to use your hands a bit more. In indoor, the fact that you use your stick and your glove a bit more within engaging towards the players, your hands in general will be a bit lower. yeah, right away answer the question, do you train these techniques with specific drills or just in small games? As I just said before, those little game related exercises, like baseline entries 2 against 1, 3 against 2, will automatically force a keeper to be, yeah, to let them do this. Because if you keep your hands always high in those kind of drills, you will never intercept a ball which is passed from the baseline in front of the goal. So, and if a ball is shot high from those kind of positions, it will normally be a normal body block with your upper body, or in some situations, depending probably with the seniors a bit more than in the youth. A nice technique is also to use your head. I mean, you're protected well, and when a ball is coming high, you can head it out, which is always nice also for the public. Single slide and direct block. As you can see on the left side, it's kind of a single slide. It's one leg down, the other leg up. If someone's trying to get around you, you can put one of your legs down and really push it further to the outside if someone's really hooking the ball around you and trying to spin. That's a single slide. Or you just go forward, putting your right or left leg in front, the other one in the back, to just have one leg out on the ground to really directly attack a ball forward. The direct block with two leggeds above each other is more like it's more for tip-ins, or if you're really if a player or if it's an attacker right in front of you for a tip-in or a quick shot which you're not expecting, you put both leggeds on top of each other, put your body down, hips on the ground as quick as you can, and you create a really big surface for that. Technique 2, as I just mentioned already a bit, is the stick. Yeah, the stick will be your best friend in indoor because obviously the ball cannot be played or passed high on the ground except for a goal shot. The stick is more and more and more used as for indoor goalkeepers because the possibilities to play a ball away, to intercept a ball, or even to play with your defenders, it's a huge advantage. And especially in situations from out the baseline, you need to have your stick down. You will intercept a lot of balls, and you even can literally play a build-up with your defenders together. How to train the stick technique? It's really nice, especially for young kids, because they're not used to use their stick that much as they might do it in outdoors. I see a lot of youth keepers outdoors who are trying to play the ball away with like shooting it away with the one hand, but that's not the purpose of using a stick. We can start passing balls with the stick for keepers. It's a really nice exercise to learn how to aim properly for balls, for passes which we want to play, or then they get a good feeling how to handle the stick. And something I mentioned already, include players to simulate baseline entries with passes towards the goal, which will happen a lot of times in indoor. We have the same situations outdoor, but obviously their ball can be played high. In indoor, it's just low, and that gives us a huge chance for keepers to intercept balls. Difference to outdoor is also there. Stick can be held way longer than usual. You don't have to hold it in the middle to have a lot of power in your stick. The indoor stick is normally way lighter than an outdoor stick, so you can hold it almost at the end. Indoor stick or outdoor stick, which one is better? For me, I always use the indoor stick. As I just said, it's a bit lighter, and you have a bit more feeling into it, especially with a heavier ball for intercepting those kind of balls. But there's no problem with playing with an outdoor stick. Maybe for kids, it might be a bit more interesting to use indoor sticks because of the weight. So they get used to it quicker and they learn quicker, and they see a positive result way quicker because it's easier to handle it. But there's obviously no problem to use an outdoor stick. Couple of years ago, there was a discussion if they should forbid using outdoor sticks in indoor, but I'm pretty sure that got thrown away again. So using an outdoor stick for a keeper is not a problem. It gives you also a bit more strength in saving balls, and also depending on what kind of surface you play. If you play on a normal indoor hall, a normal ground, then the ball is not bouncing off your stick that easy. But I see it in Belgium and the Netherlands quite often that you have these plastic tiles you play on, where the ball almost rattles over the ground. Therefore, I might suggest an outdoor stick because it's a bit more forgiving than an indoor stick. How to train the block slides and the single slides. I will come to your question right afterwards. As I said, the block slide is really good against tip-in situations. So during the warm-up, just as an example, because most of the indoor trainings will be game related, so just use a few long passes from your defensive line towards a circle. Within the circle, place attackers there and just play tip-ins. Therefore, it's nice for a keeper to get the timing right, get the position right, and repeat it several times, because then you have the highest chance of saving a ball. Single slides, 1-against-1 situations against the keepers, which is almost a shootout situation, where you have to be engaging, where you have to try to stop the ball. So you have to go with one towards the strike, towards the ball. And obviously, it's good to train those kind of things, because shootouts, you will always need it in the future. So it's a really similar situation where you can try and train those one-against-one situations with a single slide. The question was glove techniques on the ground, if I got it right. Ground techniques with glove as well. Since a couple of years, you're allowed to play the ball with your left glove, for example. Obviously not over your own baseline, but really actively playing with your left hand, especially when you get caught in a single slide situation where you block the ball away and it's in front of a keeper. It gives us the possibility to play the ball away with our left hand, which was not allowed a couple of years ago, but now I think it's a huge advantage for goalkeepers. Once the ball is in front of you, you save the first shot or you save the second one, and the ball is just around you, you have always the possibility to just play the ball away with your hand. Obviously, in our hands, we have the most feeling. And then I would always use the left hand, because our left hand is 8 foot. With the right hand, just of the shape of the glove, it's less possible. It is possible, but it's way more difficult. So always use the left hand if those kind of situations happen to you. PC defense, which I find is a huge thing indoor, where a lot of goals are scored, and obviously the keeper is in the focus. As you all know, there are two different ways for the attacking team to set up for a PC. And once is from the left, one's from the right, where you also have a different setup. What are we going to do? There's a difference in age, which I find really important. Let's first face, I said here, from under 14 on, you can be offensive as a goalkeeper. Why do I say this? In under 12s, for example, or younger, PCs might not be a thing yet. Kids might not be able to flick the ball really hard towards goal. So it's a nice opportunity for the keeper to just stand on the line and try to save the ball, because that gives you the highest chances. From under 14 on. I would suggest to always run with the keeper offensively, because in this age, kids start flicking a ball pretty decent. And while running out as a keeper, you make the angles way smaller for the player to score, and you can really start reading what's going to happen to you. So, for example, we have from the right side, from the let's say the correct side. If I look from a goalkeeper's view, the ball gets injected from the right. They have one stopper at the top circle and one flicker, and they have one guy there for the bunt. So always run in a straight line towards the flick, because 90% of the time they will try to score around you, and we have to keep the focus on the ball to then start reading. If the ball gets a little bunt, the only thing what we have to do, or what we can do to enlarge the possibilities to save the chance to save the ball, is a dive. Or you're reading it that amazingly that you already make 2 steps to the right and then save the ball. But that's really hard, especially for keepers. It's really hard. From the left side, there's a bit of a difference. You have one a bit more on the left on the top circle, one in the middle, and I would always suggest to go where the ball goes. It sounds weird, but we are looking towards the ball when the ball is injected, and you can read where the ball is going. It probably will always go to the first guy on a bit more on the left, so we can go out. If he shoots, we just stop there, make ourselves as big as possible, and try to save the ball. If the ball gets a bunt towards the middle, there's also the possibility to dive, or it's a bit easier to read maybe from this kind of position, because the angle of the first guy is way different than to the PCs from the other side. That we can already make 2-3 steps, big steps, quick steps towards the side, and make ourselves as big as possible. Do you also use different techniques on PCD based upon your surface? No, I don't. I personally don't. I would rather make a difference on players I play against. If I really know who are the players who probably gonna play, but more likely to play a bunt, then I would not run directly straight forward. I would take it a bit slower, maybe 2 steps less, and then try to react. But in general, if I don't know the player, or I don't have enough information about this team, I haven't any videos, so I would always do the same, to always stay in my rhythm and to always try to have the biggest chances to save the ball. Yeah. If there are any questions, please shoot. So far, we are through the basic techniques of indoor goalkeeping. Obviously, there are differences to outdoor, but at the end, the job of a goalkeeper is trying to stop a ball. I just wanted to give you a nice overview about, in my opinion, the most important topics. And yes, feel free to ask questions.
Now is the time for you people to get behind your keyboards and ask those questions. So we've got one from Christina. What things do you use for making decisions during the match? The opinion of your coach or your team players, or do you use your own creativity?
I think that depends on your experience in indoor. If I would be within the first 2-3 years of my indoor career, I would probably listen to my coach. It also depends if I have a goalkeeper coach or if I don't. But after many years of playing indoor, you know how the game is played and you know how to react in certain situations. And I would always try to engage with my defenders to have the biggest chance to stop the ball or to intercept the ball or to not even make it happen that the other team will have a chance to shoot on goal. So yeah, as I said, there's a difference. If you're pretty new to indoor, I would try to listen to my coach. Maybe it depends your team if they're experienced or not. But yeah, the more experience you get, the more you will see, and you will also recognize for yourself, okay, I know what to do in those different kind of situations.
Question from Norman. Is a bunt a quick pass from a PC?
Yes, yes. So, for example, when the ball gets to the stopper, to the middle, and the main flicker just plays a quick pass to the guy who's standing on his left.
Big question. What development do you see in the near future for goalkeepers? Big philosophical question here.
That's a really difficult one. A couple of years ago, exactly this. I had a discussion with the coach of the national team if goalkeepers are getting involved into a build-up, but this question was also asked for outdoor because a keeper can be involved. You can stay in the circle, you can use your feet. Also, if, for example, if you go outside of the circle, you can use your stick. Indoor, this maybe makes a bit more sense, but so for indoor, I don't see this possibility. The only thing you can do, which I have experienced in my past, is like if you're so much under pressure that you need an exit pass, then you can use the keeper who can kick the ball away. Because since the rule changed that you get long corners against as well in indoor, this became a method to avoid pressure. It's really interesting, but to be honest, I don't see this development in the future. Depending on rule changes. I mean, we always have rule changes in hockey, which make it a bit more interesting. Imagine a goalkeeper would be allowed to cross the 25 outdoors. Then we would, he is allowed if he takes off the helmet, but if this rule gets out, then there might be a possibility. But therefore, the technical level has to be incredible with one hand on your stick, which I don't see in the next 10 years happening.
Question from John here. Can you talk about your shootout philosophy?
I personally just had 2 or 3 indoor shootout situations. I personally find it way more difficult than outdoor because it's way quicker for a keeper. It's way harder to engage. Of course, the players cannot lift the ball, which is a huge advantage for the keeper. But also, the speed is so much higher. If they just hook the ball and turn quickly, it's gonna be hard. But in general, for shootouts, I'm trying to engage early, and then make it 2-3 steps back to see the ball properly. Because you can force a player into a certain direction, you can force a player to make an action. But once he's busy with this action, make 2-3 steps back or 1-2 steps back to then see the ball again, to give you a few more split seconds to react on the ball. And obviously you can use your stick, which is, I said, stick is your best friend.
Next question from Jorik here. How do you cope with a striker at the top of the D with either a strong receive or a tip in from distance? Do you go out or stay behind with more distance? Tactical question.
Yeah, that really depends on the situation. Like if there's no pressure on this striker, I would try to go out. I would try to force him into a direction or to try to force him to directly shoot. But yeah, I want to make him the decision, not waiting to react. If there's no pressure, I would go out. If there is enough pressure from a defender, I would always wait a bit, because the chances of a defender to force them into a direction, to give him a shit angle, makes it easier for you to just stand on the line and wait for the shot.
Question from Floris. If you are an offensive goalkeeper, would it be interesting to wear the stick in your left hand? Interesting.
I have seen this a couple of times during shootouts a couple of years ago to just surprise players. In general, goalkeepers are so used to have their stick in the right hand. It would take a lot of training and also a change of products from all the goalkeeper brands to create a left-hand stick glove, which I don't see coming. It can be interesting, but I don't think it would change anything.
Jolene, do you use leg guard covers? She gets different opinions from everyone, as do we all, but she doesn't use them herself. What do you do?
I also don't use them. I played my whole life without of them. There was
Why?
just 10 years ago that I heard from this again. Yeah, I find it not necessary. For me, it's like the first indoor training I have of the year. I take my leg guards, I go in the hall, I put them on the ground, and I push them through the whole hall to get all the dust on it. Once you have all the dust on it, you can slide. That's not the problem. There's on these plastic tiles where you a lot in the Netherlands and Belgium, it's a different story, yeah, because you cannot slide at all. I find it really dangerous, to be honest. But on normal indoor surface, you just need a bit of dust on your leg guards, and then it's fine.
Gary, hi, you mentioned a few drills from the baseline, 2 versus 3, etc. Have you got some specific drills involving players which would stimulate it while training?
So you mean specific drills for players, a few players in indoor, I guess.
I guess, yeah, which would stimulate the goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, there is this. We call it the check roll in Germany. It's you play on two sides. You always play from left to right, 3 against 2. So you always have 3 attacking players, 2 defending players. They can use the whole hall, the whole width of the field. They either score or the defending team wins the ball, and then these 2 defenders, they get another player with them, and they start attacking 3 against 2 on the other side where the next 2 defenders are waiting. So you always have a back and forth action, which is pretty game related, which gives examples of quick counter attacks. So you always have to rely on your keeper to coach the 2 defenders, to always get in a good position, to try to intercept balls. And you also train, for example, 3 attackers to play against 2 in a quick counter attack, and the 2 defenders obviously working together with the keeper. And you always have a constant turnover moment, which is basically indoor. Indoor is a constant turnover game if you don't score.
Question from Gordon. Have you got any thoughts on organizing your team when a player is down, when opposition withdraw a keeper and play with 6?
Yeah. Let's take the last one first. Playing with. I find it a really good solution. Maybe I'm biased, but we used to do that a lot in Germany, especially when you're 1 goal down, 2 goals down, and like 5-6 minutes to go. You create a huge advantage with 6 players. It's getting difficult because probably the other team will play really, really low in their own circle and trying to make the spaces really small. But I'm a huge fan of it, even if I'm a goalkeeper and I have to go off then. But at the end, I'm always thinking for the team. if you get a card and you play with one less, it's really important that the keeper is engaging, especially when you play 4 against 5. You need the keeper almost closing down the middle in a circle. You have a really important job then. Your responsibility is then closing the middle with the 2 attackers. And if the ball gets played into a corner in your circle, you also have to be there to do the job so that you always avoid the balls in front of the goal. It's pretty hard, pretty exhausting, but it's really nice. 4 against 6, that's going to be a tough one. It requires a lot of coaching, a lot of rhythm within your team. So you really have to know each other. You really have to trust on each other, which can be nice, which can be successful, but it's really challenging.
Gary, have you got any specific drills to assist the keepers and keep them stimulated with variety?
Yeah, and so if you think about classic goalkeeper training indoor, you can do a lot. You can basically use the same what you do outdoor, except of bouncing balls, but you can exactly train the same techniques of, for example, cross kicking the ball towards the side, but also using the boards in indoor to create those tip-in situations, to create quick rebounds. You can always use the boards. And during training, I was always used to, like in Germany, indoor training is really like you do 2-3 warm-up exercises and then you go into games, because the thinking of indoor is in games you learn the most, and then you will face as a keeper so many different situations, and there has never been a problem personally for me to be stimulated for variety in hockey, because you will have every situation you will have on a game day, you will also have in training.
Christina, who's a goalie herself, do you have any advice for me? Because sometimes she says important things to the defenders, but she doesn't know if they are listening. And we had a lot of goals for that. That's very frustrating, isn't it always?
I can totally understand that. I would also get frustrated if they don't listen to me. I think it's really important that you start talking to them also off the field and really review those situations and explain why you're saying things and what your intention is for that. And at some point, they have to listen to you. Maybe think about also talking louder. It's obviously difficult in indoor because the whole thing is loud. But they really, really have to understand you, and it's super important. The main thing is talk to them off the pitch, review those situations, because then they have to see their mistakes as well, and then you also don't get frustrated that quickly.
Michael, when we're playing ball, is our best friend's position in the half-field position or in a 3-2 defensive position? What's the best advice from you, Toby?
Is it related on a goalkeeper or is it related on the defenders, the 3-2?
I guess it's related on the goalkeeper.
Okay. Yeah.
No. And the 3-2 may be for the defender, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Now I know. It always depends how far the ball is away or how far the attackers are away. So if they're just behind the midline, you can be a bit more offensive and see what's coming towards you. The closer they get towards your goal, the more I would also drop towards my goal and orientate towards my post to see where the P spot is. And then obviously trying to talk to my defenders to say, okay, that's my idea. I want them on our left side, and say, okay, close your forehand, you drop a bit, to really give them, set a trap for the attacking team. You always want to have them in your left corner or on your right corner. It depends on your call at the end. but I always start a bit more offensive, and the ball is coming closer to the circle, and I'm dropping as well. So it's a game where you really have to engage a lot as a keeper.
John, can you talk a little bit about conditioning training for goalkeepers? Favorite topic from you, I can see it already.
Yeah, of course. Conditioning training. Yeah, I think for a keeper, it's the most important thing is the strength of the legs and the core strength. I personally, I train a lot of in the gym just to strengthen my legs, because if you have strong legs, you're also quick, and that's not just the most important thing for indoor goalkeeping, but also for outdoors. You don't have to be the goalkeeper who's running on the yo-yo test the highest level. It's not necessary. Obviously, you need a basic level of conditioning, but the most important thing is like the short sprints, strength of your legs.
Okay. Jolijn, I heard you say with shootouts you go straight for it and then take 3 steps back. Why is this?
Yeah, I try to go. Obviously, yeah, the attacker also just has 6 seconds in indoor. As if we take the indoor example, you go out quickly. You try to force him into one side. You don't want him always in front of you. So you have your stick long. You force them into one corner, probably on one side. And as soon as he's making an action, then you can take a few steps back, or you stop in front of him. You take a few steps back to then see the ball clearly again. Because once you're too close and too engaged on the ground in a 1-against-1, it's getting easier for a player to maybe just flick it over your stick, or turning quickly around you where you don't see the ball and you don't have a chance to get it anymore. So once the player is in an action, I would always get a few steps back to see the ball again, and that enlarges my chance to save the ball.
Hope that answered the question, Jolijn. Last one from Jorik here. What are your thoughts about playing man marking as a goalkeeper, and why do you think that's important?
It is important when your team is a team who is playing full press indoor. Then most of the times you are in somehow a zonal structure, and then you will get into situations where a striker will always stand in your circle, and then you can man marking, because once he's getting the ball, he's immediately under pressure and cannot run around in the whole circle with the ball and make everything he wants with you. So if there's high pressure of your team, you take another defender up there, and if the ball gets through, the striker who receives the ball is immediately under pressure. That's the only way, or the only time I would play man marking as a goalkeeper.
Okay, hope that answered your question there, Jorik. I think we have run through most of the questions. Last moments to get a couple of those questions in. Other than that, I would ask you to maybe scan this QR code quickly with your phones, or go to ahaslides.com code chat, and there just answer us the questions. What do you think of today's coach chat? So that we get some feedback from you guys. One feedback already from Christina here. Let me put you on screen. Obviously, Christina, thanks so much for the help. So that's very nice. Toby, thanks very much for all of your time and sharing the knowledge here. Was very insightful again. We had some great questions, so that's always fun to see the questions from all parts of the world. Thanks very much for your time here, and so people, we will leave this link open for you for a little bit more, so that you can answer your feedback about today's coach chat, which is always interesting for us. This was our last one for 2021. So thanks very much. Very useful. That's one already. So thanks very much, Toby.
Thank you very
Let me
much.
quickly add some more here. There we go. John always also says thanks. Fiona, very insightful. Thank you. So thanks very much for all of your feedback here, guys. Toby, thanks for sharing the knowledge with us. And to all of you, I wish you the best in the end of this year. I hope you have a wonderful indoor season with your club team or your national team, even if that's the case. And until then, we meet again in the new year. So until then, bye guys. Thanks very much and talk to you soon.